Hello, nerds and nerdettes. Welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new review slash overview for you. Today we will be covering a DC Deluxe Edition, which is none other than Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the Deluxe Edition. A very, very impactful group of stories throughout this very thin book. But before we get into any of the details, a quick reminder that if you are looking for this book or any of the other books that I feature on my channel, to use the channel sponsor organicpricebooks.com. Use the discount code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order, or when ordering 3 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together to get 5% off that order. Also, for my manga lovers, I am a Right Stuff affiliate, so when ordering from Right Stuff, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can use my Right Stuff link in the description down below. Both the OPB code and the Right Stuff link are great ways to help support the channel, and every little bit counts, so thank you for that. But without further ado, let's get into the details of this deluxe edition. This DC Deluxe Edition does have a cover price of $29.99 and a page count of 128 pages. So like I said, it is not a thick book by any means at all, but it is such an impactful one. You have the writing from Alan Moore, the art from Kurt Swan and Dave Gibbons throughout this, but let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look. And here we are, Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, Deluxe Edition. Here is the cover. Just screams older comics, old school comics, if you will. Taking a quick look at the spine and just how thin the specific deluxe edition is. It is not a very dense story, but a very impactful one. And then on the back, we have a lot of praise for the writer of this collection, which is the amazing Alan Moore. But you do have the incredible art by Kurt Swan and Dave Gibbons throughout this collection as well. Just to name a few, those are the more prevalent and impactful artists. But let's go ahead and get under this dust jacket and take a look at the board. And here we are under the board, taking a quick look at the inner flaps. We do have a little synopsis about the story, and then on the right we have a little bit about Alan Moore and more of the titles that he wrote for DC. And then taking a quick look at the art on board, you do have a beautiful dull yellow with a image of Superman and of course the title on the spine. Fairly simplistic, nothing too extravagant with a lot of aspects of this book. And now we can get right into the deluxe edition. We do have some blue Superman embroidered end pages here. And of course a title page. And then a creators page, of course Alan Moore doing all of the writing in this collection. You do have art by Kurt Swan, Dave Gibbons, Rick Veitch, George Perez, Kurt Schaffenberger, and Al Williamson. Obviously, Kurt Swan, Dave Gibbons, and George Perez, probably the most noteworthy and well-known names in this. In memoriam of Superman. Why is that? Let's get into it. We do have the collection, or what is collected, the table of contents. And then we get a fairly in-depth introduction by Carl Cooperg, which I'm probably pronouncing that very poorly. But it is a very lengthy one for those of you that are fans of introductions. And then we get right into Superman in this historic last issue, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Now, this story is fairly significant because this is almost in a lot of ways a send-off or a cherry on top, if you will, to the pre-crisis Superman. This is significant because obviously we know post-crisis on Infinite Earths, DC had a pretty much company-wide reboot pertaining to their characters and their titles. Superman returning to the Man of Steel title with John Byrne, where we get to see his origin and introduction to the DC universe take place once again in more modernized comic books, at least modernized for the time. But what you do have taking place here during the Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow storyline is you get to see Superman challenged by pretty much all of his rogues gallery, and they challenge him in a way where you really get to see him have to really work through a lot of traumatic and stressful events pertaining to the loss of close ones, the the danger that is engulfing those that are around him and those that he cares for while being a superhero, as well as the eventual realization or reveal to the entire world that Clark Kent is Superman. And I think that is a very, very interesting concept to put Superman in, especially one that is so in depth and intricate and could really be expanded upon, but instead Alan Moore tells his story and gets out of there and really doesn't go further into detail than he needs to. He hits you with the important aspects of the story and leaves it at that, and you eventually end the story with the end, whether that means death, retirement, whatever you may allude to, the end of Superman. And that is such a interesting aspect that we are seeing take place here far before the death and return of Superman storyline was explored. And you get to see Alan Moore exploring that world without a Superman, or at least the beginnings of it, during this particular run, which is absolutely great. The next issue is going to be Superman and Swamp Thing. In my humble opinion, I feel like this issue is fairly lackluster to the rest of the book. You do get to see Superman affected by a Kryptonian moss that does cause him to become ill and hallucinate, and you really get to see just how powerful Superman is when he's not holding back because he's not in the right state of mind. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of significance to really the impactfulness of the story. Unless you're a Swamp Thing fan, then obviously seeing Swamp Thing and Superman meet for the first time could be significant to you as a reader. But for me, I definitely don't think it carries as much weight as the rest of the book. And then the final issue, so not much to the book, like I said, is Superman Annual number 11, which is also known as For the Man That Has Everything. This story follows Batman, Robin, and Wonder Woman. The Robin is Jason Todd, for those of you that hate that character. But you do follow those characters arriving at the Fortress of Solitude to celebrate Superman's birthday, but they do see that Superman has began his birthday by opening a present from a unknown gifter, and this gift is known as the Black Mercy that attaches to the victim's chest and causes them to hallucinate and envision the thing that they want the most. So you actually get to see Superman get stuck and imprisoned in his own head in a world of what if Krypton never exploded, and he has his entire family, he has a wife, he has children, and you really have to see the man that is Superman persevere through the things that he wants the most because they're not real, so he can help his friends. And it is a great, great story, so significant as well. You get to see the cojones, if you will, on Wonder Woman taking on a godlike being, which is none other than Mongol. And you get to really see and respect the woman that is Wonder Woman when she happily takes up the role of holding off an incredibly powerful being like Mongol. And she stands toe to toe with the monster that is Mongol until the eventual release of Superman. How that takes place, obviously, I want you to read and find out and really feel the significance and the friendship between all of these characters and the perseverance of Superman as a hero. But his return is glorious and action-filled, to say the least. But that does wrap up this deluxe edition. I feel like I've already revealed too much, but it's hard with a book this thin. But let's go ahead and head back to the table for some closing thoughts. And welcome back, nerds and nerdettes. So as I kind of was going over during the overhead shots, this is a very significant book, mainly because of the point of time that this was really written. This was almost a cherry on top of the Superman title, going into Crisis on Infinite Earths, and eventually the rebirth of Superman through the pages of Man of Steel by John Byrne. But you do have those issues being written by the incredible Alan Moore, and you also have the art through those issues done by longtime Superman artist Kurt Swan. So you do have a very impactful story depicting the last days of Superman, and almost in a lot of ways, the death of the character as well. I use that term loosely. We won't explain why because we do stay away from spoilers here, but it is a very interesting story where you really get to see not only some pretty dark themes explored in a Superman book, especially a more Silver Age Superman book that doesn't really dive into the dark themes that current DC really does, but a very, very dark theme nonetheless. You have the combined efforts of Brainiac, Lex Luthor, just to name a few. You have the appearances of Bizarro, Toyman. You have pretty much all of Superman's rogues gallery playing a part, some bigger than others, during this specific story, which then leads to a very climactic end where you get to see Superman really break a morality code that he's had for a very, very long time as a hero, and it affects him in a very deep and emotional way. And it is great to kind of see the writing of Superman challenged in that way. But of course, it does have a happy ending. We won't touch on that because we can't reveal the ending of the title of the book or the issues that are the title of the book. So we will stay away from that, but it is a very interesting ending, especially because it's foreshadowed in the beginning. But you do get one final issue in this collection, which is Superman Annual number 11, which is more famously known as the For the Man That Has Everything, which is a very, very popular and well known and well acclaimed story involving Superman. And it is great. It is one of my favorite single issues of Superman ever, easily in my top five, probably even my top three. But it has been depicted in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon or TV show. So if maybe reading this isn't your cup of tea, you can check it out through those pages as well. It is a fairly page for page adaptation, other than the inclusion of one character, but still, it is pretty great. I think it is a story that shows the perseverance and the strength of Superman as a hero and just how much it means to him to not only be a hero but be there for his friends. But you also get a lot of respect to the characters of Batman and Robin, as well as Wonder Woman, who you get to see become the character that is there to hold off a godlike being, and she happily steps up to fill that role, and it is chill inducing for that character. But absolutely a very impactful story. I honestly think this deluxe edition alone is worth picking up, mainly for the man that has everything story, which is the final issue in this collection, because you do have Dave Gibbons, who was the artist on Watchmen with Alan Moore, and obviously the writing of Alan Moore through this entire collection. So it is absolutely worth it historically as well as impactfulness wise, because this really shows just how great of a character Superman is, and also just how great of a writer and artist these creators are as well. So for this specific deluxe edition, I am going to give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I honestly could not go any higher is it is a very thin book. There is not a lot of substance to it. You get I believe, a 3-issue story and then a final issue at the end, and that does wrap up the book in totality. So it's not very thick substance-wise, but man, is it impactful. And the fact that this got a 9 when it's this thin is beyond impressive, and I definitely recommend it for Superman fans and non-Superman fans. But this does wrap up today's review, so thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear from each and every one of you guys. If you are a fan of this collection, if you are a fan of Alan Moore's writing on Superman, limited as it is, and if you think this is an essential buy for a DC fan or a Superman fan, because I definitely think so. But comment down below, let me know your thoughts. I'm always curious what our community thinks. But if you are not a part of the Illuminati, hit that subscribe button to join the Illuminati today. Also, if you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, it really means a lot to us on the channel. And if you did enjoy today's video and you want to be notified when videos like it get posted, hit that bell icon. That way you can get notifications for the channel. But other than that, thank you for watching once again. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I love our community, and of course, stay nerdy.